Welcome to the channel. Please do me a favor by liking and sharing the video for me. Thank you. Story 1. I didn't plan to leave the trail. That's the first thing I always tell people when I try to explain what happened. I wasn't careless, I wasn't trying to explore or take shortcuts or do anything stupid. I knew the basic rule of the Appalachian Trail. You don't wander off. But sometimes, it's not about what you plan. It's about what you think you see. I had been hiking alone for 4 days at that point. Not completely alone. I had passed people here and there, exchanged small talk at shelters, but for the most part, it was just me and the woods. And the woods have a way of getting inside your head. By the 4th day, everything starts to blur together. Trees look the same, paths feel repetitive, sounds repeat themselves until you stop noticing them. Your brain fills in gaps without asking you first. That's important, because what I saw that evening, I'm still not sure if it was real. It was late, maybe around 6:30 p.m. The sun was already dropping behind the ridges, and I was trying to reach the next shelter before it got dark. I remember checking my map earlier and thinking I had just over an hour left. That's when I saw the light. It wasn't bright, just a faint, warm glow through the trees off to my right. At first, I thought it was another hiker. Maybe someone had set up camp early and started a fire. That wouldn't be unusual, but something about it felt off. It didn't flicker like a fire should. It stayed steady. Too steady. I slowed down, standing in the middle of the trail just staring at it. I remember telling myself, don't go over there. But then another thought came in, just as clear. What if it's someone who needs help? That's how it gets you. Not curiosity, concern. I stepped off the trail. Just for a second, I told myself, just to check. The moment my boots left the dirt path and touched the forest floor, something changed. I can't explain it properly. It felt like the air got thicker, like I had just walked into a place I wasn't supposed to be. I turned immediately. The trail was still there, just a few steps behind me. Clear, normal, safe. I should have gone back. Instead, I kept walking toward the light. Each step felt heavier than the last. The ground wasn't as even off the trail, and branches kept catching on my clothes. The trees seemed closer together, tighter, like they were slowly closing in. But the light stayed the same distance away. That's when I should have realized something was wrong. No matter how far I walked, I never seemed to get closer. I stopped, turned around, and my stomach dropped. The trail was gone. Not hidden, not hard to find. Gone. There was nothing behind me except more trees. The same trees, all identical. My heart started pounding instantly. No, no, no! I muttered under my breath, turning in a slow circle. Everything looked the same. There were no markers, no signs, no path. Just endless forest. I pulled out my phone. No signal, of course. I took a deep breath, trying to stay calm. Okay, think. I tried to remember which direction I had come from. I picked one at random and started walking, pushing through branches, stepping over roots, trying not to panic. After maybe 5 minutes, I stopped again, because I saw the light. Still there, in front of me. Same distance, same steady glow. That's when the fear really started. I turned again, faster this time. And that's when I heard it. A voice, somewhere behind me. You're going the wrong way. I froze. It was a man's voice, low, calm, too calm. I slowly turned around. There was no one there. Hello? I called out, my voice shaky. Silence. Then, closer this time. "Stop walking." My chest tightened. I'm lost," I said. "Can you help me?" No answer. Just the sound of leaves shifting slightly, like something had moved, but not enough for me to see it. "I'm on the trail," I added quickly. "Or I was. I just need directions." A pause. Then, "You left it." The way he said it, it didn't sound like information. It sounded like a warning. I swallowed hard. "Okay, can you tell me how to get back?" For a long time, there was nothing. No sound, no movement. I started to think I imagined it. Then the voice came again, right next to my ear. "Don't turn around." My entire body locked up because I hadn't heard anything move. No footsteps, no branches snapping, nothing. Just suddenly, there, breathing, right beside me. Slow, controlled, too close. "If you turn around," the voice whispered, "you won't find your way back." I stared straight ahead, my eyes wide, barely breathing. "What do you mean?" I whispered. No response. The breathing stopped. And just like that, I was alone again. I didn't move for a long time. I don't know how long. Minutes, maybe longer. Then slowly, carefully, I started walking forward again, away from where the voice had been. That's when I noticed something else. The light was gone, completely, like it had never been there. And the forest was completely still. No insects, no wind, nothing. Just my footsteps. And then, another set of footsteps behind me. The moment I heard those footsteps behind me, I made a mistake I still think about. I stopped. I didn't turn around, not yet, but I stopped walking completely, like my body just refused to move forward. Because the sound wasn't normal. It wasn't random, it wasn't animals moving or wind hitting branches or leaves falling. It was matching me. When I stood still, it stood still too. When I shifted my weight, I heard it shift too. Exactly the same timing, like whatever was behind me was learning me. My throat dried instantly. I tried to swallow, but it felt like my mouth had forgotten how. "I know you're there," I said quietly, even though my voice cracked halfway through. No answer. Just silence again. But now the silence felt worse than the footsteps, because at least the footsteps proved something was real. I slowly reached into my backpack and grabbed my flashlight. My hands were shaking so badly I almost dropped it. I turned it on. The beam cut through the darkness in front of me, shaking violently as I held it up. Trees, branches, nothing unusual. I didn't turn around. I couldn't. I just stared forward like the forest in front of me was the only thing keeping me alive. Then I heard it again. Not walking this time. Breathing. Right behind my neck. Slow. Warm. Like someone standing just inches away. My entire body went stiff. And then I heard the voice again. Not loud, not dramatic, just calm. Too calm. "You're doing it again." I closed my eyes for a second. I don't know why. Maybe I thought it would go away. "What do you want?" I whispered. A pause. Then, "You keep leaving the path." My grip tightened around the flashlight. "I didn't mean to," I said quickly. "I saw a light. I thought it was camp or someone." "That wasn't for you." That line hit me harder than anything else. I finally spoke louder. "What is this? Where am I?" Silence again. And then a soft sound like something stepping on dry leaves, slowly moving around me. Not behind me anymore.
to the side. I didn't move my head, but I could feel it circling. Slow, patient, like it had time. "You're not supposed to see this part." My chest was pounding so hard I thought it would break through my ribs. "What part?" No answer. And then suddenly, the forest changed. Not visually, not like something appearing or disappearing, but like the feeling of it shifted. The air became heavier, denser. My flashlight's beam didn't seem as strong anymore, like the darkness was swallowing it. And then I noticed something that made my stomach drop. The trees were closer. I swear they were closer than before. I stepped back without thinking, and behind me, something stepped.
Story 2. The first time I saw him, I thought he was just another hiker. That's how it always starts on the Appalachian Trail. You see someone, you wave, maybe you pass them, maybe you camp near them. You don't think much of it. But this man was different. He wasn't where he was supposed to be. It was late afternoon, and I was hiking a ridge section where the trail narrows and cuts through thick trees on both sides. I had just taken a short break when I noticed him standing maybe 50 meters ahead. He wasn't moving, just standing on the trail, looking directly at me. At first, I raised my hand like a normal greeting. He didn't respond. I thought maybe he didn't see me, so I continued walking. But the closer I got, the more uncomfortable I felt. Something about him didn't match the trail. His clothes looked clean, too clean, like they hadn't been outside long. His backpack was small, almost empty looking, and he was standing perfectly still like he had been placed there. When I was about 20 meters away, I called out, "Hey, you good?" No response. 10 meters, still nothing. Then I stopped, because I realized something strange. He wasn't blinking, not even once. I stood there trying to decide if I should pass him or not. Finally, I said, "All right, I'm just gonna go around you." I stepped off the trail slightly, and that's when he spoke, very softly. "You shouldn't do that." I froze. His voice didn't match his face. It was too calm, too even, like it wasn't coming from a person who had been standing outside all day. I turned back to him slowly. "What?" He tilted his head slightly. "If you leave the trail, you'll lose it." I laughed a little nervous. "I'm not leaving it, I'm just passing you." He didn't move, just watched me. And then he said something I didn't understand at the time. I didn't leave it once. That's when I should have walked away, but I didn't. I stayed. I decided to ignore him. That's the only reason I'm still alive. I told myself he was just a weird guy, maybe socially awkward, maybe sleep-deprived like most of us on long hikes. The Appalachian Trail does strange things to people. Loneliness, exhaustion, hallucinations. I had heard all the explanations before. So I kept walking, but I didn't forget him. Even after I passed him and he stayed standing there, unmoving, I kept feeling like I was being watched. Not in the normal way, not like someone glancing back at you, more like something was tracking me. About an hour later, I reached a small bend in the trail where the forest opened slightly. I stopped to drink water and check my map. That's when I saw him again, standing ahead. Same posture, same position, facing me. My first reaction was confusion. "How did he get there?" I said out loud. There was no side trail in that direction, no shortcuts, no roads, nothing. I actually laughed a little because it felt ridiculous. Okay, no way. He must have taken a shortcut or something. So I walked faster. I wanted to prove it was normal. But the closer I got, the more my confidence started to fade. Because it wasn't just the same man. It was the same exact position, same angle, same stillness, like a photograph placed deeper in the forest. When I was about 20 meters away, I called out, "Hey, how did you beat me here?" No answer. I stopped a few meters this time. Something felt wrong. Not just his presence, the environment around him felt quieter, The birds weren't singing in that area. The wind wasn't moving the leaves. It was like the forest itself was holding its breath. Then he spoke again, softly. "You're faster before." I frowned. "What?" He didn't move. "You're leaving the trail again," he said. I looked down. My feet were still on it, perfectly centered. "I am on the trail," I said slowly. A pause. Then he said something that made my skin go cold. "Not this one." I blinked. "What do you mean, not this one?" He slowly lifted one hand and pointed behind me. I turned, and my stomach dropped. The trail I had just walked on was gone. Not blocked, not overgrown. Gone. Behind me was just forest, dense, thick, unbroken. I stepped back immediately. "No, that's not possible," I said. I turned back to him, but he hadn't moved, still staring, still calm. "You see it now," he said. My breathing got faster. "What is happening?" I asked. He tilted his head slightly again. "It changes when you look away." I frowned. "What do you mean it changes when you look away?" But even as I said it, I felt it. The ground under me didn't feel stable anymore, like it was rearranging itself slightly each time I wasn't paying attention. I took a step backwards without thinking, and immediately I heard it. Footsteps behind me. Not his, different, multiple, slow, matching mine. I spun around instantly. Nothing, but the feeling didn't go away. When I turned back, the man was closer. I swear he was closer. I stepped back again. Footsteps behind me again. Every time I moved, something moved with me. I stopped breathing for a second. "I'm not doing this," I whispered. The man spoke softly. "You already are." And then, for the first time, he blinked. Just once. Slow, deliberate. And in that blink, I saw something behind his eyes that didn't look human. Not violence, not anger, just depth, like looking into a space that didn't end. I backed away again, and this time the forest didn't feel like forest anymore. It felt like a corridor, a long shifting corridor that only stayed stable when I wasn't looking directly at it. The man took one step forward and quietly said, "Don't run on this one." That was the moment I ran. I ran like I had never run before in my life. Not carefully, not smartly, just pure panic. Branches hit my face, my shoulders, my arms. I didn't care. The only thing in my head was distance. Get away from him. Get away from that voice. Get away from whatever was making the trail feel like it was alive. But the problem was simple. I didn't know where away was anymore. The trail wasn't acting normal. Every time I tried to follow what should have been the path, it felt slightly wrong, like I was walking through a version of it that had been rebuilt seconds ago. I stopped after maybe 10 minutes, breathing hard, hands on my knees. Silence. No footsteps behind me. Nothing. For a moment, I actually thought I lost him. That hope lasted maybe 5 seconds. Then I saw the shelter. It was supposed to be farther ahead. I knew that because I had already passed that section earlier. But there it was again. Same wooden structure, same shape, same position on the trail. My stomach dropped immediately. "No," I whispered, because I had seen it before. I had just passed it earlier that day. I slowly walked closer, forcing myself to stay calm. Maybe I took a wrong turn. Maybe the trail loops here. Maybe I was just tired. That's what I kept telling myself. But when I stepped inside the shelter, I stopped breathing completely. Because someone was already there, sitting on the wooden platform, facing away from me, still, not moving. My hands started shaking. "No way," I whispered. The figure didn't respond. I moved around slowly, so I could see his face, and my blood went cold. It was him, the same man, same clothes, same calm expression, sitting like he had always been there. He looked up at me slowly and smiled, that same unnatural smile. "You're fast,"
he said softly. I backed away instantly. How did you get here? I shouted. I just left you. There's no way you could be here. He tilted his head. I didn't move, he said. My heart started pounding again. That's impossible, I said. He didn't answer. Instead, he looked past me at the entrance of the shelter and said quietly, You brought it with you. I turned around instantly. Nothing was there, but I felt it again, that pressure, that feeling of being watched from multiple directions at once. I turned back. He was standing now. I hadn't even seen him move. I tried to warn you, he said softly. I stepped backwards. Warn me about what? He took one step forward, and the shelter creaked slightly. Not from weight, from something else, like the structure itself didn't like him standing there. This place, he said, doesn't stay in one shape. My breathing was getting faster. I don't understand. He tilted his head behind me again, slowly. I refused to turn at first. I'm not doing that again. But then I heard it. Footsteps. Inside the shelter. Behind me. I turned anyway and saw nothing. But the wooden floorboards were slightly different than before. The layout had changed. The benches weren't where they were a second ago. The door looked further away than it should have been. I turned back to him, and he was closer. Again. Always closer. How are you doing this? I whispered. He looked at me calmly. I stopped running. I don't understand what that means. He stepped forward again, and this time I didn't